This is my method for doing a level 140 target, and maybe it will help you out and you'll be able to learn a thing or two. Hey everyone, Derpy here. Welcome back to another Battle Pirates video. To start out with, I'm going to go towards the left, kill all these turrets over here in the ships, then head across to the ships on the right side, and finish out with the turrets in the center. Let's go ahead and get started. So the important thing to know here is that there are turrets that do pop up, and they are consistent. And they are mostly on land tiles, and most of the land tiles, the underwater things here have turrets. For example, this first one right here is always going to be a death side turret, and you can get close to that. It will pop up when you're close, and you can take it down. Next up, trigger the ships and the titanium generator and run away. These ships, you can kite them, kill them, just run in a straight line, and you're completely fine with this. Now, the thing you need to know about all the different turrets that pop up is sometimes they are corrosive turrets that only pop up when you get really close. You are going to take damage if you're not moving. Sometimes they're missile turrets where you're always going to take damage. It's a little bit tricky. Now, on the topic of the ghost crawler, you can just barely outrange this thing, but it's too hard to do while moving. So what you want to do is stay moving in a straight line, so that way when it does fire at you, or if it does fire at you, it will do splash damage and it should miss and just hit behind you. For that reason, just going to keep going here, and looks like I'll just be able to get away with no shots on it. There's that one there, but as you can see, my first ship in the health bar on the bottom right is still at 100%, which means that missed, it didn't do any damage to me. Now, the idea with the ghost crawler, stay moving in a straight line and that will take care of you, or if possible, outrange it. Now, there's a sonar ring in the center of the map. This actually belongs to a stonefish that's hanging out about here. You can deal with that one a little bit later. Now, against this ghost crawler, you want to make sure to stop and outrange it. Once you get close, go very, very slowly, and you can outrange it just about the center of the ship. Now, you want to make sure you are, again, going really slowly, because if you do mess up for this one, it means that you are not going to be moving, and you're going to take damage because it is going to hit you pretty much directly. As you can see, I can just barely outrange it. Against these other few ships, you don't need to worry too much. They're not going to start moving or shooting at you if you just stay at max range. Once you kill these, make sure you stay to the right and down because there are a few turrets here. This one right here on the bottom left, you have to know is a corrosive turret and stay away from there. The one on the top at this position right here is a missile turret. You can get much closer to that one. Now, against these ships, it's going to be a little bit harder to outrange the ghost crawler because you're coming from below instead of from the top, so it's a little bit tricky here. Make sure you go very, very slowly and press the down arrow every single time you move forward, even an inch, and go at small angles to it so you can try to outrange the ghost crawler pretty easily there. It's tricky, but you can do it, and you can take 0 damage from the ghost crawlers in this target. Now, once you kill this last ship, what you're going to do is you're going to run yourself right over this land tile. That will make the turret on this land tile pop up, as well as a few other things. It is sometimes tricky to do, but there's that turret popped up, and you did stun it for just a fraction of a second, it looks like. What you don't want to happen is you don't want to have yourself servicing right next to this corrosive turret, because that's going to do a lot of damage to you. Now, there's another corrosive turret and a penetrative one alongside it that spawn off to the left there, and you're going to want to try and use your UAV to chain off onto that one and reduce its accuracy if at all possible. Make sure you do stay at max range from the corrosive turret and don't stay taking too much damage from this thing because it does hurt quite a bit. Now that that's dead, you're going to charge in directly, go for the death side, and get as close as possible to it, take it down, shoot it down as quickly as possible. Once it's dead, go for the stonefish, shoot at that a few times, and you'll be golden. You can relax a little bit, shoot down at the titanium extractor, and start running away from whatever else surfaces. Sometimes this target has things that are just buildings and do absolutely nothing. Sometimes they do more damage. Now, you do have another stonefish on the top here to go for, and every single one of these turret platforms you have to be careful about because it might end up being a turret, or it might just end up being a random building that does nothing. You need to treat it as if every single one of these is a corrosive turret and stay moving and at the maximum range you can from all of these. Also, take down the titanium generators first if at all possible, and if you are engaging ships, move a little bit away so you have some breathing room. Now I'm going to take this one down. I believe, if I remember correctly, this turret, there is a turret right here symmetrical to this platform, but it is actually a corrosive turret, so you have to be careful there. Okay, as you can see, if a corrosive turret did spawn in, you might take a tiny bit of splash damage, but if you're moving, you probably still have a ship that's at full health, and you can avoid most of the damage, if not all of the corrosive damage, if you are moving when it does spawn in. It is pretty tricky, and it is quite rude of them to have this mechanic in here. Another few things to go for now, staying about max range. I know for a fact there's a platform right here where I'm going to keep moving to try to avoid it. Now sometimes it spawns in when you're close, sometimes you have to get a little bit closer. It's really tricky, it's not an exact science as much as I wish it would be. I wish these things would pop up a lot further away, but they don't, so this is what you have to deal with. There were two corrosive turrets that shot at me. Hopefully I avoided the damage from those things. It looks like I did because I still have one ship that doesn't have any damage taken, so all the damage I've taken at this point is probably missile damage. Then just kill that missile, use the stun building to stun that first, and then outrange their corrosive turrets. At this point, you have to play hide and seek in the target to find what's left. Generally speaking, it's symmetrical, so if we have a building right here, I expect one to be right there. But there also might be another few things in this target, so you do have to be careful. There's another large building, and maybe that was the last one, maybe not. Probably a missile turret right in the very center of the target. And there is. If that was a corrosive turret, I would have gotten screwed because I was stopped when I popped up and I wasn't moving. Let's go ahead and check the battle report and see what kind of damage I am taking here. The vast majority of the damage taken is penetrative, which means I drove correctly. Maybe I got skimmed by some corrosive damage from the ghost crawlers or from the turrets, but it's really, really low here. If you look at the damage taken, that's 8 minutes, 54 seconds. The build I'm using is shown right here, right now. The first, second, third, and fourth ships are all the same with U1 and U2 upgrades, and they're built as damage dealers. The fifth ship is built as an anti-missile ship, which doesn't really work very well. It might actually save about 1/6 of the total damage, but you don't need any more missile defense system 3 than 2 of these. I am also using a Sea Serpent's Road Crew, which does help out a little bit on evade. And on my build, I do also have Hyper 30, as you can see. I think the Guidance Scrambler 3 builds are doing a little bit better than this to begin with. Hopefully this helped and I was able to show you the method for the 140. When I tried to auto it, I got into a situation with the ships that were permanently stunned and also invincible, so I'm not going to be autoing these targets, although I have seen some other people doing them for about an hour or so of damage. Hopefully that helped, and as always, this is Derpy signing out, helping you be a better pirate.